Well, hello, IDS 105 students, and welcome to week 4 here in the IDS 105 learning community. Today, I want to take just a little bit of time and talk to you about our topics this week for your IDS 105 class, which is intercultural communication and collaboration. And we're also going to go through your assignments for week 3, focusing in on that project part 3 overview. First and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. A couple of webinar reminders. These IDS 105 Learning Community webinars are considered an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct, whether you're in a live session or you're commenting on the recorded session, the on-demand session via our First Year Experience YouTube page, or even in the SNH2 Connect Learning Community spaces. These webinars are not graded or required, but you will learn about how to do assignments from week to week, and we go over concepts that you are working on in your course. Y'all, before I dive into today's information and topics, let's stop for a minute and high five. Woohoo! So proud of you. Y'all, you're at the halfway point of the term. Do you realize that? You are starting week 4, module 4, and that is the halfway point of your 8-week term, which is super exciting. So I just wanted to say, congratulations, you've made it to this point. A couple of reminders, make sure you're reading those course announcements. Y'all know that that's where your instructors put helpful tips and information about your assignments and reminders, in addition to maybe some motivation that you might need. Don't forget to check that SNHU student email. It's so important. That's how the university communicates with you. And also, if you have found yourself stuck or you're on the struggle bus or you've fallen behind or you didn't do so hot in an assignment or whatever it might be that's going on, if you have questions or you need something, do not hesitate to reach out to your instructors. Your course instructors want you to be successful. So every single instructor has an email address. You can always email them, see if you can return something in that if you didn't get it in or didn't do very good on an assignment, or see if you can catch up if you've fallen behind, or maybe you have questions about assignments that are coming up or need clarification. Reach out to them, okay? Everybody has an email address, and within 24 hours, they will get back to you. Check that My Instructor announcement in your IDS 105 course, and you can see if there's other ways that your instructor might communicate, like their phone number. They might give you a text message option, or even sometimes they might even schedule like a Google Hangout or a Teams meeting or something like that. So we want you to be successful. That's the bottom line. So if you're stuck, need to get caught up, this is the time to do it. Don't wait. Go after it, okay? So this week at the halfway point of your term, you have 2 assignments. You have a discussion assignment and you have another project draft. That project draft part 3 is this week. So a couple of webinar reminders by now. You guys should be pretty well versed in those project drafts because you had one in week 2, week 3, and now we're in week 4. So you know that you need to have that Microsoft Word or PDF or something compatible for your project draft to be turned in and to utilize the template if you're utilizing the template because it is a Microsoft Word document. Video note submissions are absolutely not permitted for project drafts. Remember, if you for some reason don't have Microsoft Word or something compatible, you do get Office 365 for free as an SNHU student. As always, pay attention to the questions you are answering for this week's project draft, okay? So back in week 2, you picked a scenario, whether it was personal, school, or workplace, or maybe you created your own. And you stick with that scenario all term long as you're answering the different questions on each project draft. So you already did that for week 2, you did that for week 3, now you're going to do it again for week 4. But pay attention to which questions you're answering. Great idea to always use that written feedback service from the academic support team. You can have a tutor look over your assignment and just kind of make you feel a little bit more confident about what you're turning in. So due dates for this week. Your initial discussion post, as always, is due on Thursday by 11:59 p.m. or before as convenient for your schedule. And then you want to make sure that you respond to at least 2 of your classmates and get that project draft turned in by Sunday of week 4, module 4, or earlier as convenient for your schedule, okay? So this week, your module content for week 4 centers in on communication. And I want you to just think for a minute about how you communicate. Like if you looked at this list, and I'm going to go through them here in just a second, What is your favorite way to communicate, or how do you typically communicate? So, for example, there's verbal communication. So, that's the spoken word, right? There's written communication. So, that could be notes. Remember the good old fashioned like snail mail, cards and notes? That can be emails, that can be text messages, letters, so on. It's writing things down. There's the nonverbal communication, using body language like postures, gestures, even silence can be super powerful, right? And there's visual communication, which is visual cues. So I want you to think just for a minute, just glancing at this, like, what is the way that you typically communicate? So I know, like for me, for example, I'm in the online world, right? I'm a teacher, I'm a professor. So I communicate most often with my students using email for the most part, right? With friends and family, I typically text message, but sometimes I'll pick up the phone and give them a call too. But what is my favorite way to communicate is verbally. I love to be like with somebody, either on the phone or to be next to them and see them in person and talk. So just like kind of think about for a minute, like what is your communication style? What's your communication preference? What do you use most of the time in your everyday life? Because for somebody next to you or somebody you work with, it could be very different. The other thing I want you to think about this week as we kind of navigate the topics of communication and collaboration is intent versus impact. So sometimes when we communicate, we can have a certain intention with what we're saying or what we're talking about. And it may be well received by others, or it might not, or somewhere in between. And it's a reminder of how our words or even our nonverbal communication, so our posture, our body language, can make an impact without us even saying anything. So I want you to remember as we navigate this week's topic, like when you are communicating, how do you make sure that your intent is taken correctly? And how do you make sure that you make the most positive impact when you're working with others? Okay, just a couple of quick things to think about. This week's discussion assignment, as a reminder, initial post due Thursday, peer responses, at least respond to 2 of your classmates due by Sunday or before. Remember with those peer responses, y'all, in your discussions, do not miss the initial post and do not miss responding to 2 of your classmates. That costs you major points, and that can make or break a letter grade when you get towards the end of the term, okay? So this week, you're going to be answering 3 questions. 1, discuss a situation where communication is important. This could be in your daily life, your work life, or your academic life. If you don't want to talk about anything personally, you could always use an example from like a show that you watched or a book that you've read or even something in the news. Question 2 is to describe your own personal communication style preferences in the situation you described. So we just talked about this. For example, like, do you prefer text communications via text messaging or email, or more face-to-face or on a phone call? And then question 3, what communication strategies would help enhance communication in the situation that you described? So share your experiences, write in complete sentences. It can be always helpful to use details and examples so that other people understand the whole story and where you're coming from, right? So again, discussion post, initial post due Thursday, peer responses due Sunday or before. Don't forget to respond to at least 2 of your classmates. Your other assignment is another project draft. As always, when you open up your module for week 4 and you go underneath your assignments, you're going to see the this week's project draft. And with, like always, you can utilize that same template you've been using all term long. If you need a refresher on those project scenarios, click under supporting materials on that project scenarios document, okay? Remember, what scenario did you use in Module 2? There was either workplace, school, or personal, or you might have created your own. Whatever one you picked, you're still using it to answer these questions here for this week in week 4. All right, so the project draft part 3 questions, you'll notice on the template when you open it up that it will say part 3, intercultural communication and collaboration, complete this section in Module 4. These are the 3 questions you're answering. 1, explain how mindfulness of different cultures could improve communication with individuals in your chosen scenario. Use examples, give details. Question 2, describe how familiarity with diverse backgrounds can positively influence communication in your chosen scenario. And 3, explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial or could be beneficial to collaboration in your chosen scenario. Again, use examples, draw upon personal experiences, and make sure that you use that same scenario. As we get ready to round out week 4 here, I just want to remind you that communication is key. Y'all, again, if you are stuck, if you've fallen behind, or you just have questions, or you want to clarify something, this is the time to make sure that you reach out and communicate for your success, okay? Communicate with your advisor, communicate with your course instructors. Again, every course instructor in every department here at SNHU has an email address. All of our SNHU departments have phone numbers. And then, of course, your faculty always share how to get a hold of them under that My Instructor announcement, okay? So don't forget about that. Before I let you all go, I wanted to just really quickly walk you through Module 4. As always, you click on that course menu, go to Learning Modules, scroll down, we're looking for Module 4. One of the other things I want to point out is do not forget to click the blue, gets to where you want to go, and click through your actual module introduction. All the time students reach out to me with like, I can't find the answer to this question, or I can't find this concept being covered in our class in the reading. It's because typically it's not within the textbook reading. It might be within the module reading. So make sure you guys are checking on that, okay? So it'll always go over your learning objectives and the overview for the module. Scroll down and click over, but then it'll always pull up kind of your required resources. And that is where you will see any reading that's within here. So right here, communicating with intention. It's going to talk about the different kinds of communication. It's going to talk about intent versus impact. It's going to talk about diversity. There's a whole bunch of stuff that is in here that it's going to talk about. It's going to talk about things to think about when you communicate as an online student. There's a lot of really great information in here. And then it's going to take you to those required resources where you might see what you're supposed to be reading in your textbook. There's some great video. There's a great video this week to review that just gives you kind of a little bit of a different lens to think about how different cultures can work together, okay? So make sure that you are exploring those module readings in addition to whatever is required. Your discussion assignment, as always, remember you're going to be answering these 3 questions and you just want to click on that start a new thread to get everything ready to go. And then for your module 4 for that project draft assignment, you always want to make sure that you click on the guidelines and rubric and it opens up an overview of the assignment just like it has before. You can open up that project template, type right in it again. You can use the same one that you've been using all term long. Make sure you answer the project part 3 questions and then you can submit it. Remember, you can always look over your rubric. Kind of gives you a guide map of how you're going to be graded. If you need a refresher on the project scenarios, click right here on project scenarios. Again, to remind you, if you, for some reason, you're using information that needs to be cited, the Shapiro Library has tons of resources for you. Just click that little arrow. There's a Citing Your Sources guide, but you can also always check out the research guide, or you can connect directly with the librarians through the Shapiro Library homepage. Don't forget you have academic support up here. Academic support, when you click on it, it'll pull up their menu of services. And when it pulls up their menu of services, that written feedback tool is right here. You click on submit a draft and you can upload and submit any of your writing assignment drafts here at the university for any of your classes. For written feedback, select the area you want the tutor to focus on, and you'll get targeted feedback within 12 hours, okay? The other thing I wanted to point out too is underneath this help button, if you click on the online student services, it pulls up all the departments and teams here at SNHU. If you do not have Microsoft Word or something compatible to do your assignments with, you do get that Office 365 for free. So remember, scroll down to this Office 365 and other software, follow the prompts, and it'll get downloaded and you'll be all set, okay? Y'all, we are so proud of you and we're excited for you. So no matter how your journey is going or where it's going, the biggest thing we want you to know is that if you've fallen behind, this is the time to get caught up. So reach out to your instructor or your advisor, make a plan for your success. If things are going well, like take a minute and think about like what you're doing that's helping you manage your time or what you're doing that is helping you do well so you can continue to do it. And don't forget, if you haven't popped into the IDS 105 learning community yet, there's a lot of great information in there. Students always share all kinds of helpful tips, or maybe you might have the same questions as somebody else. It's a great place for you to connect with other students. Plus in SNHU Connect, you can explore those clubs and organizations that we have here at SNHU. But we're super proud of you. Let's finish the rest of the term strong. Happy week 4, and I'll see you in week 5. You got this, y'all.